Hi, this is Carol, and welcome to part 2 of how to establish your own nonprofit. If you missed part 1, please go back to part 1. And before we actually get started on part 2, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and support us. We appreciate it so much. We work really hard. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay, let's get started. Here we go now. I already talked about 4 key critical elements you'll need in establishing your nonprofit in part 1. So please go back to part 1 and watch that video, and also subscribe. And now we're going to start off here with part 2. And what you need to do is find out for yourself if you are self-motivated. Are you the type of person who doesn't need somebody reminding them all the time about following up on something? Are you motivated enough on your own so that you can start a project, see it through to completion? Hold on, a car's going by. Okay, here we go. Are you self-motivated? Are you motivated enough to start a project and complete a project? Are you the person who started painting and you didn't really finish it, or you kind of have a lot of unfinished business? That doesn't work well for a nonprofit. There's a lot of follow-up that needs to take place. So what you want to do is have an honest talk with yourself. Are you self-motivated? Do you need somebody to push you all the time? If that's the case, this might not be the line of business you want to go into if you want to run the nonprofit. If you want to volunteer the nonprofit, that probably would be fine. That characteristic would be fine. But if you want to start a nonprofit, you have to be self-motivated. That is very critical. The next thing you want to do is make sure you do your research. Do you have experience in the area that you want to start your nonprofit in? No experience? Then you definitely need to do as much research as possible. But you want to do your research. Is there another nonprofit in the area that already does what you're interested in doing? Where is the closest nonprofit? The third thing to think about is, how will your nonprofit be different? So again, you checked around. There are other nonprofits similar to what you want to establish. Do you really want to reinvent the wheel? Maybe you should kind of think in terms of joining forces with the other nonprofits that are already up and about. That's something to really think about. Do you want to reinvent the wheel? Why will your nonprofit be different? What makes you different? The Jenkins Donelson Foundation is, to my knowledge, the only nonprofit that promotes foot health for the underserved and the homeless. We're the only ones. I did as much research as possible, and that's what you want to do. You want to do your research, because if there's not a need to reinvent the wheel, why bother? Maybe, again, as I said, you simply want to volunteer. And the last tip I want to leave you with is, what experience do you bring to your nonprofit? Have you ever worked at a nonprofit before? Is there a nonprofit similar to the one you want to start? What experience are you bringing to it? And I'm going to leave you where I left you with part 1. Talk to other people. Absolutely talk to other people, but this time, talk to people who are already doing things similar to what you want to do. Speak with them, glean from their experience. They've been doing this for a while. Again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's some things that you don't have to experience, some negative things you don't have to experience if you just simply talk and listen. I cannot stress that enough. Please listen. Listen, 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 listen. So, we'll see you next time. Come on back for part 3. Ciao. Thanks for joining us for part 2. I've given you a lot of homework, but remember, the more work you put in up front, the greater your rewards. See you in part 3. Ciao.